question. Hello, I'm Shelley Irwin, and welcome to a special edition of Ask the. Tonight we are hoping that our guests strike a chord, of course, with you as we talk with musicians. And yes, tonight we have those in studio, only the best. Bruce Ling, glad you're here, Bruce. Appreciate you. And we're going to call you Banjo Jim, because that's what you want to be called, Mr. Jim.
Thank you, Shelley.
Glad you're here. Gentlemen, we're certainly going to hear from you. Again, a special edition as we want to put the spotlight on you. Let's talk about you. Banjo Jim, when did you pick up the first banjo, please?
I bought my first banjo on November 5th, 1965, because I didn't want to be the 17th guitar of the group of guys in the dorm that I would sit and pick with. Cool. And just kept going ever since.
Did you grow up in a musical family?
Yeah, my grandfather was Ole Farish, played the big theater organs in Detroit in the 20s. I was a musical director for WWJ, television and radio in Detroit up into the 50s, and taught organ and concertized all over southeast Michigan.
Yes, and then tell us about the Blue Water Ramblers.
My band is the Blue Water Ramblers, and we play modern folk music. So we write a whole bunch of our own songs, plus we sing the old standard folk tunes. And with my banjo and Tom's mandolin, we have a real bluegrassy sound. But for the country rock songs and the blues tunes, I do pick up my electric banjo. Sounds like a Telecaster.
Cool.
So,
Bruce, introduce us to you, please.
I'm Bruce Ling from the string band Hawks and Owls, and we've been in operation since 1997 as that band, Hawks and Owls. I started playing guitar when I was about 4 years old, an old archtop K guitar. Actually, I have that and play blues on it. My dad gave me a fruit jar, and so I would pluck the strings and try to figure out the melodies to Hank Williams songs that way. But I got rolling on it pretty quick. I made my first money when I was 8 years old, playing for a birthday party in a garage on Chicago's South Side, where I'm from. My father and my uncle were both musicians, and I came from a musical family. Mother, aunts, the whole 9 yards. Everybody played piano or guitars or banjos, and they had a lot of friends that would come over to the house, and we'd have music sessions and whatnot all the time. So I was fortunate to come up that way.
Yep. Hawks and Owls, what's that all about?
Hawks and Owls string band. Well, I've had a lot of these strange encounters with birds of prey since I was a child. Even on the south side of Chicago, we'd have hawks, Cooper hawks, red tails and whatnot, like fly into the house. I repaired some of them. I brought some to the nature center, local nature center, and some of them passed on. So I've had these experiences all my life. I had one red-tailed hawk that I rescued, and I had her for a couple of days. She wasn't doing well, and somebody suggested I bring her to Blandford Nature Center. This was, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, yeah. And so I brought her down there, and I wound up staying there and working there as a volunteer. I'm self-employed. My business started heading downstream because I was spending all my time over there. But I did that for about 4 years, worked at Blandford and helped out there. And the band name came about, somebody asked me what we're calling our band. I got booked for a job down for the Kalamazoo Folklife Center, and I had just jumped into my head, Hawks and Owls, and it's been that way ever since.
Jim, how do you describe your music? I'm hearing bluegrass, I'm hearing folk. Is there a difference? Is it the same?
anything I can get away with.
Oh.
So that's why we do sound a little bit of rock and roll now and again, and we do some blues tunes, and we do real old-timey stuff from the Appalachians. So folk is a real big umbrella. But you got your guitar, bass, banjo, mandolin, and once in a while the electric banjo.
Yes.
So yes, it's folk, but it sounds bluegrassy when I'm using this.
Speaking of, we're speaking to musicians, how important is practice? Is it the practice is going to get you, well, I don't know if your goal is Carnegie Hall, but...
Oh, yeah. Every single day I try to spend an hour or an hour and a half, and on a really good day, 2 hours, just sitting and picking, and mostly just picking things of interest to me. In terms of the repertoire that I'm going to sing today in a bit, and the repertoire for the band, it doesn't take much to memorize a song anymore. And it takes maybe an hour to work up an arrangement with the other 3 guys in the band. And then that work's done. So what I sit around at home and pick are songs I haven't learned yet, and hard banjo parts that I haven't figured out yet.
Same question to you. And do you recommend a musician get a lesson or two?
Oh yeah. Well, I think working with somebody that has become professional at their craft is a good thing. I liken the whole practice thing. I've built my temple, and really, I only have to maintain it now, just like you're saying. I know how to put a tune together real quick or learn a tune. But when I was younger, I didn't. So practice is very important. I've got a number of students, and I suggest at least 20 minutes a day. Just sitting down, leave your instrument out of the case so it's accessible. You know, if it's tucked away in the case, you're not going to pull it out. It's really important that way.
Great. Yeah. Who, Banjo Jim, is your audience?
At the community concerts, which are our bread and butter, it's a pretty gray audience. So same demographic I'm in, because that's who goes to community concerts in Lakeview or Lake Orion, or if the folk societies like Trinity House in Livonia. When we play the folk festivals, we do get younger people as well. But like I say, I'm pretty much aiming at my demographic, people that came of age back in the 60s.
Great. My question, and then we're going to hear from you, Jim, I guess same to you, are the 20s and 30 somethings picking up bluegrass, picking up their guitars?
I'm really fortunate. I've got like the cream of the crop coming to me to learn old-time fiddle tunes. I have a guitar today, but actually most people know me as a fiddle player, and I play a lot of fiddle. And I collect Appalachian and Irish tunes. I have a vast repertoire that I've learned via oral tradition, older people teaching younger people. So I get a lot of younger folks. I get also older people that want to get involved. They've raised their children. Their kids are out of the house, and they come in. Our performances are varied from music festivals, but we do a lot of corporate work as well for a number of Wood TV. We're over there, and Wolverine Worldwide and whatnot. Larger corporations. Well, it's interesting because a lot of folks there that attend these functions haven't heard this kind of music, or maybe they've heard this kind of thing through like a movie called Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh, that sounds just like that. Well, yeah. And then they ask some questions about it. You know, you're able to share that way.
Great. Well, before our first quick break, Jim, Banjo Jim, please step up to the microphone. Tell us what you are going to share with us, because we need to hear what you are all about.
Okay. I was commissioned to write a song for the little town of Kaleva up in northeastern Michigan. And as I started thinking about that, I discovered the second most beautiful chord on a banjo, and that's an F major ninth. And the song just kind of fell together around that. She waltzed into my life right out of a dream in calico, in Kaleva, a beauty the likes of which I'd never seen in calico, in Kaleva. One come hither glance at the harvest moon dance, I took a chance on love and romance. I never had danced so lightly before as with calico in Kaleva, and I'll be her lover forevermore. My calico in Kaleva, we waltzed and we polked all through the night, Alamein left and Alamein right. When she said yes, my life was complete with my calico in Kaleva. Days were all sunny, the nights were so sweet with calico in Kaleva. So take my advice and go to the dance, find your own calico and true romance. She waltzed into my life right out of a dream. In calico, in Calabar, a beauty the likes of which I'd never seen. My calico in Calabar, my calico in Calabar.
All right, applause, applause. That would be Banjo Jim, of course, engaging us on the special edition of Ask the Musician. Thank you, Banjo Jim. That's great.
I
We'll
love
go out
to do
with
so.
another.
Great opportunity.
You bet. How much, let's get the elephant out of the room, Bruce, before we hear from you. How do you make it in this business?
You make it through not playing bluegrass or folk festivals. There's really not a lot of money at that. You make it through songwriting. You make it through the publication of your music into music libraries, receiving some sort of dividend for something you've written. Commercial work and corporate work. There's good money in commercial and corporate work. Also having a bunch of students on board helps. CD sales are pretty good, you know, that helps a lot, but nowadays most people are downloading music. So I know Jim and I both sell songs for 99 cents a piece through iTunes and Snowflake and various other online sales.
But you admit, Jim, you're going to Banjo Jim, you will be playing at festivals this summer, but I trust you love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the best part of festivals, quite frankly, are the jam sessions late at night, when we sit around with fellow musicians and just share tunes around the circle.
Yeah.
Is this style of music male-dominated, Bruce?
No.
Good.
No. I should, well, you know what, there's more men playing guitars than there are gals. There's equal amount gal fiddlers as to males. I don't know many gals that play the banjo, so that's probably a male-dominated instrument. You'll find, percentage-wise, there's more males involved in a circle and a jam. Yes, I'll say that.
Great. Step up to the microphone
Oh,
and
I'll
introduce
sing a
what you're
song.
going to sing and play for us, please. Bruce Lynn.
Music and activism. Oh, I'm losing something. No.
No, it's just your microphone. Strap that back up on you, and you'll be fine.
Music and activism. We produce and host the Grand River Water Festival, and which is a celebratory call to action, and it's a way to get people out to volunteer and engage in water quality issues. I'm going to sing a song here called Awashtenong, and this is a song that was written by Cat Russell and myself for the Civic Studio on the Grand back in '09. It's a timeless piece. Right now we've got the Restore the Rapids, and we also have a very large oil spill that just happened in Lansing heading on down here. So this is a tale here. They wove mats from your shoreline reeds for their shelters near the fishing grounds. They washed their babies in your bayous as the sacred drums made heartfelt sounds. They were the ancestors who sang, Awashtenong, Awashtenong. Red paddles and bark canoes brought men who traded iron pots for beaver pelts. They fished and hunted your riverbanks. They steered through your treacherous ice melts. They were the Frenchmen who sang, Awashtenong, Awashtenong. Steamers brought goods and settlers who built towns in your embrace. Lumbermen used your waterways to send their logs to Lake Michigan in all haste. The farmers and townspeople sang, Awashtenong, Awashtenong. Now dams have harmed our river, where lovers stroll on the river boardwalk, past lighted bridges and buildings. They speak in their soft talk. Today we are the people that sing, Awashtenong, Awashtenong. Someday the weeping willows will remind us of your bounteous sustenance, how you took our ignorance and our abuse and kept beauty in your dance. The future river people will sing, "Awashed and on, awashed and on." From a Jackson wetland to Lake Michigan, our night fires glow upon your banks. You gave us so much, and then the beauty left us in your trance. She's the largest river in Michigan, called the Grand River as a white man's name, but the first people called her Awashtenong, the great flowing mother that never's tamed. And in our hearts we sing, Awashtenong, Awashtenong. In our hearts we sing, Awashtenong, Awashtenong.
All right, there we go. Ooh, that was
Bruce.
all right. Banjo Jim wanted to hang with you. How much, let me start with you, Jim, Banjo Jim. We just heard a story. When you write, do you write a story for us?
Well, that's the song I sang.
As you sang too.
Yeah, in the back of my mind was a young man comes home from World War I, and when he goes to his hometown Detroit, which was a boom town then, it's different now, he just couldn't make a life, so he kind of went on the road and he ended up in Kaleva, which was having its own small boom back then, and went to a dance and met a beautiful girl and fell in love and lived happily ever after. So yeah, I had a story in mind, but it doesn't all end up in the song. And I was telling Bruce before we started, 2 years ago, for 2 summers in a row, I taught Grand River Ecology at the museum, where I work in the planetarium, and had little kids out doing stream monitoring. You know about that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I wrote my own Awashtenong Grand River song that traces the food web from the macroinvertebrates to the fish to us and so forth. So yeah, there's often a theme, a story somewhere in there.
You would agree, Bruce? Yeah?
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, and like this song that I just sang, we follow the course of the First Nation people, the first people that were here to where we are today. As you got in the song, Awashtenong is the original name of the Grand River.
Far flowing waters.
Yes, and she sits right out there. We're on her bank there. So yeah, telling stories about not only current events but past events, and this is the way the history of people, the history of a people is passed on. It's in the written form and whatnot, but songs and stories, vocal stories, oral stories, are remembered even more.
Banjo Jim, you mentioned the jam sessions. What's the etiquette for a jam session?
Oh my gosh, you can go on the web and find pages of drivel about that. Basically, the way I do it with people like Bruce and my other friends, we're sitting more or less in a circle, or if it's real hot, we're standing in a circle, and there might be just 3 or 4 of us if it's just the Blue Water Ramblers having a late night jam, or there might be 30 or 40 people, and I'll pick a song and lead it and pass it on to the right or the left, and that person will pick a song and lead it. Just go around and around and around. And then often the way it works at the folk festivals, there'll be some of the better pickers sort of as an inner circle, with then the second tier pickers who are not quite able to keep up around that.
Concentric.
And then, yeah, and then people just listening and partying around that. So I'm thinking of one Nor'easter Fest a couple years ago on a Sunday night. There's probably 100 people all jammed together, and maybe 30 of us were actually playing the music. But
In the business, is there a friendly competition? I mean, you all want to get booked for gigs if you're vying for the same night, Bruce?
I don't really feel that there's a competition. I've got my clients that use me, and I know I send in promotional material to different festivals and whatnot, and I don't feel somebody's cut me out or anything if I don't get booked. I know one of the things that if I'm booked at one festival one year, that festival will probably not book me the next year, just to keep things fresh and kind of in a rotation. Speaking of the etiquette on jams as well, though, if you don't know the tune, don't play it loud. And don't come up in back of somebody and beat your guitar right into their ear.
Yep.
There's a number of different things that you have to be aware
Some
of.
problems that have happened in your
yeah.
lives. Yeah.
It doesn't get harsh, though.
No.
I've never seen anybody actually get angry, but yeah, I might move after the next song to get away from the guitar in my ear, but I do it in a mellow, friendly way.
Blue Water Ramblers, where do you find out more information on you?
BlueWaterRamblers.com.
Hawks and Owls?
HawksandOwls.com or Bruce Lang Hawks and Owls on Reverb Nation, which is, we book a lot of jobs through the Reverb Nation site.
Great. We mentioned, of course, that CDs, downloading. Are you okay with this new world in which we live?
Oh,
Bruce?
definitely. Yeah. I've become very computer literate. As actually, I just left from recording my next CD on a Mac computer, and I came down here, and I'm going to return and get back on there. I have to have another CD ready for Wheatland at the end of May, and so yeah, I'm fine with the entire world of computers and downloads and whatnot. You give some stuff away, but you know what? That comes back to you in terms of jobs, booking jobs. Students and whatnot. I wound up teaching at Interlochen that way, and did a master's class there on fiddle and traditional American music through people getting a hold of me through my music on the line.
How about you, Banjo Jim? You using the internet?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
When we first cut our first CD, a friend told us about CD Baby, and so we shipped a bunch of plastic CDs, and we've done that with every subsequent publication. Was it California? I don't know. But CD Baby now has sets of our plastic CDs. And I think last year they sold about 3 plastic CDs, but they sold several hundred digital downloads of either the whole CD or individual songs. So I'm looking to the day when we'll finish a concert in the park and people will say, here, I want to get your music, and we'll have our device and plug it into your device and push a button in there and accept your money, or more likely, you'll just transfer your transfer the money on a telephone. Yeah. So yeah, that's how the world is changing.
Are we festival rich here in West Michigan?
Yes, Michigan has a number of music festivals as compared to other states. There's something going on every weekend. Not only is it folk music or bluegrass music, it's also rock and roll, it's blues, it's jazz. Detroit has a phenomenal blues and jazz festival. They're all, and we have Wheatland, the Wheatland Music Organization here, which is known worldwide as a perpetuator of traditional American music. And not only that, but arts, whether it be basket weaving or candle making. They have a traditional weekend, Memorial Day weekend coming up here, and it's a small festival. That one at Wheatland, maybe 800 or 900 people. Everybody's there to learn something or to teach something. The big festival is probably about 18,000, and that's the second week of September. But there's a number of great music festivals here in this state.
Yep. And you've got a favorite, Banjo Jim?
Oh, Wheatland is the beginning and end of our musical year. But they're all fun. I mean, Farm Fest, you hear a lot more rock and roll at that one. Nor'easter Fest, you hear some klezmer and Eastern European stuff that you don't normally hear. And you know, they all have a different mix, and they're always fun, and the jam sessions are always great.
And is it like a lot of different worlds where 6 degrees of separation? This, I mean, you know the guy and or gal playing on the stage.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's a family.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'd like to plug May 18th here in Grand Rapids at Riverside Park, which will be World Fiddle Day, and this is an event started in Donegal, Ireland last year. And what we hope to do at Riverside Park is to have tens of thousands of violin and fiddle players, and we're going to do a world Guinness record there.
So if you can play either
Anybody
of those,
with a string band related instrument, please come down to Riverside Park, second boat launch where Guild Street runs and tees into Monroe there. And there will be a jam session for everybody there. It'll be all sorts of little sessions going on. So come on down May 18th, starting at 2 o'clock And,
Mark your calendar. Can he bring his banjo?
he can most certainly bring his banjo.
Great.
Banjos are
All
welcome.
right.
Your talk of 10,000 fiddles is frightening.
It is frightening. Well, what is not
But I'll come down
frightening,
and support.
gentlemen, on this special edition of Ask the Musician, what's not frightening is we want to get you back up to send us out with
pick.
All
with a
right.
little pick.
Let's play a little tune here.
So Bruce Ling and Banjo Jim.
Here's some traditional bluegrass music, goes way back.
3, 4. I went across the river and I lay down to sleep. Went across the river and I lay down to sleep. Went across the river and I lay down to sleep. When I woke up, got chains upon my feet. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. I asked the judge what might be my fine. Come on, Your Honor, how bad's it going to be this time? I asked the judge what might be my fine. 21 years, good Lord, on the Odyssey mountain line. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes